Good morning and welcome to Focus. I'm Callie Lutman. Focus is a weekly show dedicated to looking at news and public affairs. Today, we're talking with volunteers of the League of Women Voters of Champaign County, a nonpartisan grassroots organization dedicated to helping voters stay informed and engaged in our democracy. There's an important primary election coming up on March 17th of 2026, and it will determine which candidates move forward to the general election. Joining us today are Carol Baxter and Sherry Fox, both volunteers with the Champaign County League of Women Voters, here to help break down what voters need to know, how to participate, and where to find trusted, nonpartisan information. Welcome, Sherry and Carol.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on Focus today. It's great to have you in. We're going to learn a lot. But before we learn, as volunteers of the League of Women Voters of Champaign County, can you tell us what's it like being a volunteer?
Well, there's always plenty to do. I have a kind of variety of volunteer activities that I'm involved with. Initially, I did door-to-door, sticking those things on the doors. And I have done a previous podcast with you, and probably the thing I'm most involved and invested in is getting voter information, nonpartisan voter information into food pantries, because we want all of Champaign County to have correct information about voting, about rights, about voter registration.
Thank you so much for what you're doing. And Sherry, tell us about your experience.
Well, I've been involved with League of Women Voters at least as initially as a beneficiary of the information they provide from the time that I graduated college and started building my own voting life and participation in democracy. And since moving to Champaign, I've been involved with League of Women Voters primarily in voter education, helping people. It's so important that people know how to vote, where to vote, and how to get information that they need on candidates and issues so they can be informed voters and be active in our democracy. So that's mostly what I do.
Thank you both for helping prepare us as voters and help us hopefully have a seamless interaction with voting, right? Well, tell us, Carol, why is it so important to vote in the upcoming primary election March 17th?
Well, primaries, oftentimes people don't vote in primaries because they think it doesn't matter. People think it's not the real election, or maybe I'll just wait and see who wins. But voters in primaries get to help choose the candidates who will be on the ballot for everyone in the general election on November 3rd, 2026. You'll likely want it to be somebody whose positions you support. So that's one of the biggest reasons to vote in the primary. And I think that all registered voters not only can but should vote in the primary election. As it happens, the 2026 primary is going to be kind of unlike other years in that there are multiple candidates for every national office. That means that the U.S. House seats in Champaign County and the U.S. Senate seats and other offices have multiple candidates from one or both parties. For example, currently, things aren't set yet because that doesn't happen for a few more weeks. In the U.S. Senate race to replace retiring Senator Dick Durbin, there are 9 Democrats and 7 Republicans running for that seat. And in the Illinois governor's race, currently in the primary, there is 1 Democrat and 6 Republicans running. So it's an opportunity to narrow that field and have your voice heard. Let's start with who can vote. So to be able to vote, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be 18 on or before the next general election to vote in the primary. So the key date for this you would have to be born on or before November 3rd, and the magic year is 2008. You must have lived in your precinct for at least 30 days before the election. To be able to vote, you must not be able to claim the right to vote anywhere else. And finally, to be able to vote, you must not be convicted in a state or federal court and currently serving that sentence. And one of the really important things, and one of the things that the League has stressed, particularly when we are out at the farmers market, particularly over the summer, and we'll be there over some of the weeks in the winter, is to make sure you're registered to vote at your current address. And I can tell you a little bit about if you want to check that out or any of the other information to make sure you are registered. If you live in any Illinois county, you can check it out on the Illinois State Board of Elections website. And that is ova.elections.il.gov. At the top right of that page, you click on Am I Registered to Vote? And then follow the prompts, and you can update voting address or other information on that website. So making sure you're registered to vote at your current address is going to make a big difference when you get to your polling place.
Perfect. Always check that. I always make that a habit. Almost no matter what, I always check it. Even if I know I'm up to date, like just check it. Make sure it is good.
What does it take? A minute?
Exactly. Yes. Remind us of that site too.
ova.elections.il.gov.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Carol, before I move on, going back to the importance of the March 17th primary election, is there anything else that you would like to share about the importance?
Well, I think it'd be nice to know what's on your primary ballot on March 17th, so you can start thinking ahead about doing your due diligence and finding out who's running for these different positions. So U.S. Senator will be on your ballot, and that will be to replace the retiring Senator Dick Durbin. Also on your primary, your March 17th ballot will be all members of the U.S. House of Representatives. There are Illinois state official positions such as Governor, Attorney General, Secretary of State, Treasurer, and Comptroller. On that ballot will be Regional Office of Education for Ford and Champaign counties. There will be Champaign County officials, including executive, county clerk and recorder, treasurer, sheriff, and one county board member in each district. And in addition, they have not been, the wording and they have not been published yet, but there will be several non-binding tax referendum for Champaign County. And one of the things I want to say, just sort of generally, in this primary, your vote really will help determine which candidates will be on everybody's ballot for the November 3rd general election. And just to clarify, all registered voters in this listening area can vote in the March 17th primary election and can choose to vote early, vote by mail, or vote on election day. Which races are contested and whose candidates will be different in each county. Most of the specific voting information we're sharing today is for Champaign County. If you live in another county, you'll need to check with your county clerk for specifics about voter registration opportunities and for early voting and voting by mail options. And one more thing, and this is very important, and Sherry will talk about this more. And the most important thing to know is the date, which is March 17th, which happens to be in the middle of spring break for the following: Champaign Unit 4, Urbana Unit 116, Rantoul City Schools, as well as spring break for University of Illinois, Parkland College, and other school districts, including Danville Area Community College in Vermilion County. So if you're going to be out of town or busy with childcare that week, make a plan now to vote by mail or vote early. And Sherry will walk you through general things to consider when making your plan to vote.
You've got us ready with a plan, Sherry. Help us figure out, we've got a lot of options, right?
We've got a lot of options.
We've got a lot of options. Will you help us run through what those options are and what might help each type of individual?
Certainly. Well, first of all, I think, what Carol said is really important. It's important to make a plan. And we are very fortunate, I think, in the state of Illinois in that we have a lot of options to vote. So walking through a few of those. First of all, any registered voter in the county, in the state, can vote by mail. And you can register on the county clerk's website for a mail ballot, either just for this election or moving forward for all future elections. And if you do the latter, you can change that in the future. You can cancel that if you decide you'd rather vote in person. The county clerk will start mailing out ballots on February 5th. and you can return a completed ballot by mail without postage required, and it must be postmarked by Election Day, March 17th, or you can put a completed ballot in any of the county's yellow ballot drop boxes, and there's a list of locations on that county clerk website. And those boxes will be available beginning February 9th through 7 p.m. on Election Day, March 17th. We recommend returning your completed ballot early. You can also vote early in Champaign County. And something that's important to note for voting in person, whether you're voting early or you're voting on Election Day, is you can also vote at any open polling location in the county. You don't have to go to the one in your precinct that's noted for where you live. So if you're voting early voting actually starts February 5th at the clerk's new location in the Bennett Administrative Center at 102 East Main Street, Urbana. There are also early voting locations available throughout the county from March 9th through March 16th, and those will be posted as well on the Champaign County Clerk's website. And I keep mentioning that, so let me give you the address of that website. It is champaigncountyclerkil.gov, and /elections will get you directly to all of the related election information. And then again, if you like and you are going to be available to do so, you can vote on Election Day, March 17th. Polls will open at 6 a.m. and be open until 7 p.m. And again, you can go to any polling location in the county. So you definitely have options.
Lots of options for flexibility as well.
Yes. And again, as Carol said, and I've said, making that plan is important. So I think the important pieces to keep in mind are to think, first of all, how am I going to vote? Do I want that to be by mail or in person? When will I vote? Am I going to vote early? Am I going to vote on Election Day? If I'm getting my mail ballot, when am I going to take the time to complete that and drop that either in a mailbox or one of those handy bright yellow drop boxes? And then again, where will I vote? So if you're going to vote in person, what location is going to work out for you on your schedule on the day you've chosen to vote? For instance, I used to work on the University of Illinois campus. Their early voting location in the Illini Union, which will likely be there again this year, I would expect. That was very close for me, so I always just walked down there and made sure I voted during the early election dates.
Awesome. So you just line up all your resources, make sure you know what you make a plan now, and might as well start now, right?
Right.
Especially with, with early starting in February. You said February 5th, correct?
February 5th at the Bennett Administrative Center, right there across from the courthouse in downtown Urbana.
Perfect. Awesome. And can you remind us, can people register same day?
They can. Thank you for reminding me of that. Absolutely. So one of the most important steps, and Carol talked about who's eligible to vote, is to verify not only that you're registered to vote, but you're registered to vote at your current address. A lot of us, if we move in state, forget to make that change, or if we move in the county, within the county. So check that. And on that OVA, now I have to find that website again, ova.elections.il.gov, you can update your voting address right on that website. And you want to do that as early as you can. You can also register to vote and vote at an election site on the same day. You want to make sure to bring your ID, a valid state ID or driver's license, and something that verifies your current address within the past 30 days. So that can be a utility bill, a credit card bill, and it can even be on your phone as long as you have that information with you.
Awesome. Thank you for that reminder. That's so helpful. And now the league is also well known for the candidate guide. Where can voters find the candidate guide this year? What information does it provide us?
Okay. I actually think the candidate guide is probably the best resource that our league makes available. So it's very easy to find. The address is votechampaign.org. And it will be available and published on or about January 19th. The league sends questionnaires to all of the candidates for all of the races, and those questionnaires are out now. We post their unedited responses to those questions. If they choose not to respond, then we note that they have not responded. There's also links available to those candidates' websites and social media posts or social media pages as they provide them to us. And all candidates receive the exact same questions. And again, we post their unedited responses. It's entirely nonpartisan, and it will be available on or about January 19th. So check that out, votechampaign.org.
Perfect. So that'll be available. That is available. I'm going to say that is available because when this airs, it'll be available. So that is available now for us to utilize as we prepare for this election. This sounds incredible. Just giving us everything we need to know. It's almost like a guidebook before we go in and make that vote. Well, thank you so much for working hard on those resources for all of us voters. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners, or tell us a little bit about what is happening with the League of Women Voters?
Why listen to the League? And I think the important thing to know, or one of the important things to know, is that the League doesn't support specific candidates or specific parties, but it does take positions on issues of public importance, like voting rights. So our nonpartisan mission is to provide our community with voter registration opportunities, which we do at a variety of public events throughout the year. The League offers voter information, including nonpartisan candidate information, as Sherry described, as well as Zoom-based public programs discussing how national issues affect our local Champaign County voters. You can get a list of those opportunities on the League website, which is League of Women Voters, LWV-ChampaignCounty.org. So the information that the League posts comes directly from the Illinois State Board of Elections as well as the county clerk's office. We may format it differently on our website, but that is where the information comes from. So we're putting it out, the same information, just in a different way.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because we're all concerned about integrity of the information that we have available to us, right? And we are getting our voting information directly from the state and the county resources. And there are links to those resources on that votechampaign.org and through League of Women Voters website as well. So again, LWVChampaignCounty.org is the League's website, and that can be a portal for you to access a lot of other voting information that's relevant in Illinois and Champaign County.
Awesome. Trusty and reliable information. If you're worried about misinformation, you don't have to with the League, as you are using trusted and reliable resources. Well, thank you so much. It's incredible for us to know and for us to feel empowered and strong with our decisions and making our plan before we go out to vote. So thank you for joining us on Focus.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for joining us on another edition of Focus. If you have any questions or comments about this week's show, feel free to contact us. Write to News Director, 2603 West Bradley Avenue, Champaign, Illinois, 61821, or you can email news@IlliniRadio.com. Focus will return the same time next Sunday. Have a great week.